Welcome to the Hibbing Economic Development Authority regular meeting. Today is Monday, December 8th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Everybody is in attendance with the exception of Vice President Uranus. Adds, deletes. Number 1, ad number 6, presentation, the Android Architectural Review Project update. 2, ad 8, loan requests, the RSF Business Subsidy Agreement, and 2 RSF loan request. And number 3, add 9, discussion items, Heda Loan Fund Guidelines Revisions. Move on to number 3, approval of the agenda. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
Madam, I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mayor Hyduk,
Support.
supported by Member Egan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Number 4, approval of the minutes. Approve the minutes of the Hibbing Economic Development Authority meeting of November 10th, 2025. Can we get a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion made by Councilor Schreiberger.
Support.
Supported by Councilor Hoffman-Sockman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. On to number 5, the consent agenda. Number 1, affirm the Economic Development Loan Fund account balance as of November 30th, 2025 in the amount of $1,401,581.94. And number 2, approve the disbursements for the month of November in the amount of $1,095,937.05. Can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read and published.
Motion made by Councilor Hoffman-Sockman,
Second.
supported by Member Egan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. On to 6 with our presentations.
Madam President, members of the board, the first presentation tonight is from Jeff Halter of Range Steel. He has a revolving loan request for some equipment in front of you tonight. So Jeff, if you'd approach the podium and present your project to the members of the board, and then they'll have a chance to ask questions.
Okay, thanks for having me. Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, Jeff Halter, president of Range Steel. My wife and I moved to town in 2016, bought the business. We had about 3 employees at that time. We're up now. We hover anywhere between 17 and 18 to 25 and 26 employees. So just want to point out we've gone from 3 to low 20s over that time. It takes constant investment, and that's what I'm here for tonight. We have 3 kind of key pieces of equipment that we need to bring in. A couple of them were strategic decisions, and one of them was a unfortunate notice that I received one afternoon. So I'll start with the forklift. We would like to secure a forklift. We're in heavy industry, and we do a lot of things with multiple forklifts, sometimes pushing the barriers of safety and capability. So we've acquired a new Clark 18,000-pound forklift that we can do things efficiently, safely, and comfortably. So that's one of the pieces. Another piece that we're looking for is we've recently acquired a large new out-of-region customer. If Brainerd's considered out-of-region, they're not from Hibbing. So we're looking for some welding automation equipment. And it's kind of it's not like full robotics. It's a track welding system that allows us to put 30 or 40 feet of weld down very fast and very clean, and with high quality to meet their needs as these products go to airports around the country, to some extent around the world. So quality's critical. Those were the planned items. The third one that I'm looking for is a CNC lathe. That's the one that I got the unfortunate text message that it crashed one afternoon about a month ago. So that is about $242,000, I think, and that was kind of the unforeseen expense. So my request to you guys tonight is for 1/3 participation in a package of about $385,454. So I'm asking for Heda to help with a 128.5.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Jeff at this time?
Jeff, it's nice to hear, the job creation since you bought the business. What is your primary service area that you service and your primary customer group?
Yeah, generally our service area is Superior to Grand Forks,
Okay.
International Falls to the cities in St. Cloud.
All right.
We do have some customers in Iowa. We've been developing a few relationships in Pennsylvania. They're ones that we kind of stumble across. Largely, though, we're heavier industry, so shipping costs become a burden for us to get too far out. One of our, strategic efforts is to not let that machine shop die by losing equipment or employees. Those are the type of parts that we can send further out.
Okay.
But generally, our region is a couple hundred miles from here. Customers, we're ebbs and flows, but about 40% mining or indirect mining. The rest of it is going to be forestry products. We do a lot of component manufacturing for OEMs, EMR, ASV as an example, and other similar customers to that.
Okay, I just thought it was good for those watching and that watch us in the future, know exactly kind of what you're doing and how diverse you are in coming out of Hibbing. So thank you so much for the explanation.
Yes, and come on over. You guys
Yeah,
are all
yeah.
welcome to come. I love to show people around. Love the dog and pony show. So.
Very good.
Just to verify too, I had an opportunity to work with Jeff when we did the 417, the building. You drive down Howard Street, you can see it, what an excellent job they did, putting that siding up, that steel siding on the building. And it's still standing great, it looks good, so.
Which
Good.
building was that?
417,
Oh,
one that stayed alive after the fire.
yeah.
Jeff, thank you for your update. I guess this question is for Sheenan, just so that I have a better understanding. So when collateral is different pieces of equipment, is there any one piece of equipment that's attached to the different loans, or is it all together? How does that work in case they depreciate out?
Thank you, Member Hoffman-Sockman. I know we had this conversation at our Finance Committee meeting, and I think Betsy had also emailed Andy. We would be taking a subordinate position as a UCC on the equipment, and there would be enough leverage on the equipment. And I think it'd be on all three, right, Andy?
Right, Councilor Hoffman-Sockman, we'd have, assuming you approve the loan, the borrower would execute a security agreement saying, yes, we're agreeing to give you a secured interest in this property. The UCC is simply a filing so that if anyone else looks, they're going to see that recorded. We would place it against all three items.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
okay.
Thank you for the update.
Okay, anybody else have anything for Jeff?
Excellent, Madam President, members of the board, we'll take that loan request and business subsidy agreement up later in the agenda. Those are both in your packet for tonight.
Thank you,
Right,
Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second presentation tonight is Kevin Perrone from Widseth. He is here to give a little update on the Android Ballroom Architectural Review. Remember, prior we applied for a grant to pay for a portion of that work through the IRRR. We have received the work product back from Widseth and have reviewed with the owner of that building, Trellis, and are now having discussions about the potential for what that could look like to actually make this happen in that building. So Kevin, if you'll approach the podium and go through the presentation that he's brought, it's in your packet, and it will be on the screen as well.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and all the members of Heda for having me over for a little review. And I know up front that I'm going to talk probably too fast and too much. So if you need to cut the mic or a camera or both, that's fine. If I'd known it was going to be on live TV, I would have done some makeup, but I didn't know it in time, so it's all good. I'm Kevin Perone with Woodseth. I've been there for a long time. Actually, was previously ARI, and I'm not really supposed to wear this jacket in public, but it's actually nicer than the other one I have, so they'll have to forgive me for that. Okay, so I'd like to start.
Yeah, he'll switch it over so you can.
Oh, excellent, okay. Yeah, you can, you don't want to see my face anymore. You could start with the slides right now. That would be perfect. Oh, it is? Let's try that. Look at that, there it is. Okay. I'll let you help me out a little bit here.
No worries.
Yeah, we'll get this. Perfect. All right, and there it is. Yeah, that's a nice view. So obviously, I don't need to introduce any of this to you in the historical context. Beautiful old photo from its heyday. I'm not sure, judging by the cars, it looks like it was quite a while ago. And there's been a lot of work done recently on all the floors with the apartments and on the exterior, and I think the exterior work is going on yet. And it's been an incredible reinvestment in that building to carry it for decades to come, protect it from the weather and retain its beauty and character. And so the intent of our project, what did I do here? Come on. Oh, it's just a little slow, I get it. Hang on. It says we're on 2 of 9, but it's not coming up. Come on. Let's go back. Sorry about this, but yeah, the slides aren't popping up for some reason. Any thought? You have your packets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So if you'll turn to the second page, which I believe shows the floor plan, does it?
Yep.
Okay. That gives you an overview of what we're intending. You'll see there's a couple of areas that I believe are grayed out.
After I told you not to bring one.
I actually did bring one, but that's okay.
There.
Okay, oh, perfect, all right. So maybe, yeah, the two areas that are kind of gray and have a lot of little circles, well, tables and chairs. To the left, obviously, is the banquet hall. On the other side would be, I guess, I've heard it called different things. I'm going to call it the ballroom, for lack of a better term right now. Those are the two major spaces that are part of the renovation. You'll notice in between the two, we've positioned a brand new bar area, a bar and service area for that. And that's meant to then easily serve both of those areas, the banquet room and the ballroom, simultaneously, so that, for example, if there was 2 events going on, they actually could share the services of that area. The green areas are kind of more service-oriented. You'll see the large green area to the at the top left is kitchen. On both sides of the main level, we're showing new restrooms being built to accommodate the larger crowds that we get with major events. Right now, we're planning for up to about 350 total that could be seated if there was a single larger event or a couple of other events going on simultaneously. Some of the other things going on, you'll see a little blue kind of highlighted area toward the bottom right, and that's right now anticipated to be a lounge area, but that also could provide additional seating for dining if necessary. So ultimately, you know, the capacities of the dining, of the banquet side and the ballroom side will be determined according to the occupancy loads that are permitted, and the fire marshal, you know, they'll be posted, obviously, a maximum seating limit and all that. But based on what we have studied so far in terms of the areas, it looks like we should be able to do up to 350, which would be a really, really nice event in a space like that, especially after we've gone through and not only upgraded the kitchen so that it's modern and has the capacity to serve an event of that size in a way that would be expected, but also to renew the interiors, the painted finishes, all the wood finishes, probably some changes in color in the ballroom or the banquet side rather. We've got some flooring work to do, and we've got some remodeling work to do. So if you recall, in the banquet hall right now, there's a series of what used to be individual dining rooms that now is kind of used as a serving area. So way back when, those actually, as I understand it, were individual dining rooms. What we're proposing to do is to open up that area to the main dining room to expand the overall capacity of that room as an open space for dining. That area probably would have a somewhat lower ceiling, but it would be a very similar character. And of course, regarding the character and the finishes and the colors, this is all to a great degree dictated by the historic character of the building. And we'd be working with the State Historic Preservation Office through a lot of those details and a lot of those finishes to ensure that the character of the original building was maintained and carried forward in the renovation work. Some of the stuff will be new. I mean, obviously we'll have new toilet rooms, we'll have a new kitchen, and those areas would be, again, at least outwardly would have the character of the old building, but would provide modern conveniences and modern functions in order to promote and sustain the kinds of events that would like to occur there. So if you want to start kind of leafing through, and maybe some of you already had, you can see a series of interior views that will start to depict some of this stuff for you. I think the very first one shows kind of a side, we're looking down the side of what would be the new bar. And if you turn to the page after that, you'll see a view looking from where the existing main stair is in that main level toward the bar area. And beyond that, you can see what would be the front doors onto Howard Street. So that's actually years ago, according to the drawings and the historic photos we've seen, that was the check-in desk. And so it's kind of beautifully set up for a centrally located bar and service area in that area. So that would be the space that you would be greeted by when you came in the front doors. And you can see there's a fellow there. He looks a little bit out of time, but I'm sure he's a good bartender. If you go to the next, I think, yeah, we're looking across the ballroom from the wall that would be along the west side where the porch is on the outside, back toward the bar area. And again, you can see in all of these the character of the original building, the intent to maintain that and augment that where appropriate. And if you go to the next sheet, and I'm kind of going to whip through these because I'd like to have time to answer questions, you'll see a view of the banquet hall side, now opened up to accommodate more seating as kind of one larger open dining area. And if you look kind of center and left center, you'll see some doors there with the little round windows, and those would be the double swing doors that would lead in and out of the new kitchen, which would be quite a bit larger and much more efficient and user-friendly than the kitchen that is there now, which is actually pretty small. So, we already gotten through all the, I guess we have. We've kind of gotten through the interior views. And I think that gives you a good feel for kind of the intent, but what we need to do and what we intend to do, which is it's building in the National Historic Register. It speaks for itself. It doesn't really need us to help it be a beautiful, amazing facility. We just need to give it a little TLC. We need to renew some finishes, bring in some new equipment, upgrade lighting, upgrade some mechanical, probably have to do some heating and ventilating work, but we'll find out more about that as we get further down the road. This package right now is what we would call a conceptual package, and it's meant to whet the appetite, get people excited, allow for some fundraising, and just kind of get the ball rolling. And I'm hoping that people will be as excited as we are, because we're really excited to hopefully work on a project of this scope and importance in this city and in the region. I mean, the other day I was on my way to work, and I looked up, and it's pitch black. It's 5:45 in the morning, and I'm walking down the pitch black alley, and I look up, and lo and behold, there's the Android sign glowing in the night. And I have to say, it was kind of magical, and it just made my day at work that day. Nothing could have gone wrong at that point. So it was spectacular to see that. What questions can I answer? Anything?
One question, I noticed the old stairwell,
Yeah.
staircase that went up, that's where the coat room and stuff, so I would assume that is not an access or a emergency access route anymore.
No, and in fact, that's kind of it's an unfortunate situation, and that the space there is really valuable.
Yep.
if we can remodel it in the way we're proposing. But the existing stair is a problem, because the flight to the second floor goes up, but you can't get through.
Oh, okay. So it is blocked off right now?
There's a wall there, yeah, you can't get through. To the basement, yeah, you could go to the basement, but honestly, if you're having an event, there's no reason for anybody to go to the basement. We don't want people going down there. That's just, if anything, it's an inconvenience. And so the thought would be to control access, regardless of how that ends up ultimately, to control access to only staff and building owner. So, and yeah, there's no good reason otherwise for the stair to be in use. It doesn't function as it did originally at this point, so.
Will you have any, like photographs or that show the intent of the original building that would, just so you know what used to be there, because that is a majestic.
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. In fact, I don't know if we have those views in here, but we can certainly share those if they aren't.
Kevin, they're not necessarily in
Yeah,
this
it's a little
packet,
hard.
but there was they brought in some black and white photos and things, and so they're sort of on the wall into the restroom and the wall behind the stage and those sorts of things.
Yeah,
To set the space, to remind people
Yeah.
of,
So, yeah.
what the answer was.
You have one black and white in here that used to be the old check-in area,
Yeah, absolutely.
where
And I
your new
think-
bar is
Yeah,
gonna go.
yep, that one you
Yeah.
mentioned.
Okay.
In fact, that's exactly, I think, what our interior gal put on that one rendering. But yes, the short answer is yes, that's the intent, is to show large, even life-size images.
Right.
Perhaps, of, how it was originally in strategic locations where we've done new construction, like where the new restrooms are on the ballroom side, for example, so that they would complement what's there and enhance it. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
Thank you.
great question.
Madam President? Kevin, thank you for the presentation. How are you working with our Historic Preservation Committee, since we do have one?
So the way it would work is, as we progress, drawings would be submitted to them for their review, and they weigh in on the aesthetics, they weigh in on materials, on detailing, the whole work. So we would work in partnership with them. In an ideal world, in my mind, we would work with them as partners, because they have expertise that is really valuable. And so that would be the optimal situation, that they would be partners with us.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
and
Yeah,
so-
because we have them as, part of our City of Hibbing, one of our boards, and then also the Hibbing Historical Society as well. So,
Oh, sure, yeah.
I believe
Thank you.
Sammy did get information from Erica in order
Okay.
to inform
Yeah.
this presentation.
Yeah,
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
yeah, so, all of the above, yeah,
Great.
and then some. Yeah, absolutely.
What's an approximate timeline?
Oh, well, that's a good question. The project itself, obviously, it would It probably be better part of a year, I'd say 6 to 12 months, somewhere, it depends. Until we really get into more detailed drawings and engineering, we won't know for sure. But at this point, I would think 6 to 12 months for the construction. The drawings, I would have to allow at least several months, and partly because we have to work with many partners like SHPO, and that's critical, and they have timelines, and they have lots of other projects on their desk as well. So we'd have to allow time for that. So it's a little bit of time. I don't want to make any promises, and of course, we need to have funding in place, and it has to become an, in quote, real project too, so. And then at that point, I mean, if we're fortunate enough to be involved, we can absolutely put a realistic timeline before you and share that with you, so.
And the residents there all know?
Madam
As far
President,
as-
members of the board, so this was an exploratory project at this point. We're looking at it in the context of the renovation and revitalization of downtown. But we couldn't figure out what a project, if this would even work in that space until we undertook the architectural review. So other than the current owners of the building, no, we haven't done any of that work with the residents, et cetera, and the community surrounding, simply because it's not a real thing yet. We have some work to do. So to that end, there's a couple of pieces that we were hoping to get out of this. One was to see if that main floor could be brought to a 300-plus venue, because the city of Hibbing is lacking that right now. And I know our chamber dinner and the Rams dinner and all those other kinds of events struggle to find that space here. And, you know, Amy has been partnering with various people to host her events, and she's been really lucky to find gracious hosts at the Armory and the college and those sorts of places. But if she's looking to grow that event significantly, this would be needed. And then there isn't technology necessarily in all of those other spaces to do what, you know, one unified presentation from a stage. This would allow for that. So you'll see there's a technology allowance in this particular project to do that work. And also, it seems to make sense to renovate and invest in a historic building that already exists in Hibbing instead of trying to build something from scratch in a brand new spot, instead of, you know, utilizing what we already have. And this allows for that reuse and adaptive reuse plan to come forward. Kevin's really touched lightly on the fact that SHPO doesn't always let you, even if stairs are not functional and are actually a hazard, they don't always let you remove them. So we have to be very strategic in how we work with that particular staircase. But if we can make that into the stage, it's a great center location in that space to use as a more presentation and stage-like space, so.
And you know, if for some reason they say, no, you can't do that, we already have some backup thoughts and plans, so. And it wouldn't affect the capacity of the space. We'd still could do our 350 or maybe even 350 plus for dining and events of various kinds, so. While I characterize this as a concept, there's been a fair amount of thought behind this plan already. And so my hope would be that if we can move forward on this, that we could jump in pretty fast and get it going quickly.
We have also worked with Boomtown and the owners that rent this space out right now from Trellis. They're really looking for that flexibility to be able to host 2 events in the space instead of just one right now. They could do more bookings also if it was a larger space with more seats available. So those 2 things were what they were looking for out of this particular project, so.
And thus far, what input we have gotten from them on the kitchen in particular has been positive, and they're excited about it, I think. So it's all, I think, good news in general right now, yeah.
Madam President?
Okay.
I guess I'm looking on the mechanical and engineering side. Looking at the diagram where you said the 2 doors are with the little windows going into the kitchen, that's the existing kitchen area, correct? So they're not adding on or expanding that area?
Yeah, that whole area is existing. Right now, the kitchen is kind of off to the far left on the plan page there. and it's a postage stamp. It's like 350 square feet. That's where we're showing the new restrooms for that banquet side. So the kitchen would expand into that space that is back there now, and you'll notice there's a new exit shown in the far upper left. And the reason is we want people to exit cleanly through a corridor and out, as opposed to wandering back through and by the kitchen and bathrooms the way it is now. It's actually kind of a circuitous route, if you recall how it is back there. So by cleaning up that part of it, we've been able to expand the kitchen even more and really give them something to work with. So it just cleaned up a lot of ills back there in, I think, a really positive way. Yeah.
And the bathrooms, I assume, will now be ADA,
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. All of the,
And then
whole
all the
9
old-
yards, yeah.
all the old lighting, were you able to replace that, or do you have to keep that?
Oh, that'll depend. We'll
Okay.
see, yeah.
I'm just
Some-
looking at, I remember the old knob and tube wiring, and
Oh, gosh, oh,
You
no,
know.
yeah, no, that's one thing, there are certain things that they can't insist on keeping, no.
right,
It was a great system years ago, but no, we don't have to do that.
okay.
Yeah, when it comes to life safety, we've got a little more leverage, and I hate to even talk about it in that way, but yeah, certain things do take precedent if it's life safety, yeah. And at the same time, we want to still impart whatever we can of the character of the building into what is, what is seen, in the new work, so. But yeah, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, that would be current, up to date, everything. That whole area would be, everything would be new back there.
Madam President, members of the board, one other note, the TC2, who's doing our traffic and parking study in the downtown as well, is also aware of this, because if we potentially host larger events, 350 or so at that particular space, there would be a need for additional parking in that corridor. So
Yeah.
that's something that we're also taking into account as we're doing that traffic and parking study.
Okay, anybody else have any comments?
So
Okay.
next steps, Madam President, is to continue working with WIDSEF to talk to Trellis, see if they're interested in figuring out how to finance this, doing some of that fundraising. Boomtown has some ideas, those sorts of things. So we'll go into a potential financing phase and then come back to you with if there's a role for Heda to play in that particular phase of the project.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Kevin,
You're
for
welcome.
coming
Thanks for
forward
having
and
me.
Thanks, Kevin.
for your
Thanks, Kevin.
description. Thank you.
And Madam President, that was the 2 presentations for the evening. Thank you very much.
All right, now we can move on to the department and committee reports. Once again, Betsy, back to you.
Yes, my first request is to approve the agreement with Miriam Carroll Consulting to write a Minnesota Housing Workforce Grant application for either the 400 block redevelopment project or the Jefferson redevelopment project in the amount of $3,862.50. The reason being that this is either project is because the grant application is being dropped in February of 2026. It's a 7-month process from that point. We've met with the state to talk that through. You cannot start the project until you have grant contracts signed because it's a but-for grant, and therefore it may not suit the timing of the 400 block redevelopment, but it definitely would suit the timing for the Jefferson project because we're also planning workforce component over there. So.
Okay,
That
do
is
we
my
have
request.
do we have a motion to approve this agreement?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for consulting for the Minnesota Housing Workforce Grant application.
Okay, we have a motion for, made by Mayor Hyduk,
I'd like to support.
supported by Member Cameron. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to B.
Madam President, this is a request to approve an agreement with WIDSEF for the North Hibbing Industrial Park Shovel Ready Grant, or Shovel Ready site in the amount of $49,200, half of which will be reimbursed by an IRRR Community Development Partnership Grant. I ran this agreement past Attorney Borland Over the weekend, he took a look at it, sent back some suggestions, so my request is to approve the agreement with the recommendations that Attorney Borland has made. They were a few items such as making sure that the lump sum agreement starts at a certain time, and we have a timeline for that, correct? That wasn't in the agreement. And that the subcontractors were all duly noted and covered under the lien agreements. And what was the third item?
And the agreement makes reference to that there could be potential additional costs
Yes.
to the agreement over and above the lump sum number based on subcontractors. So I just reached out to Betsy to see, can you verify, are they using any of their subcontractors but for the one that they reference as a part of their lump sum? So I think she was just trying to reach out to get that information.
Yep. Yep, so with those amendments per legal review, I would request that we amend or approve the agreement.
Okay, do we have a motion for this, to approve this agreement with Widseth?
Madam President, then I'll go ahead and approve, make a motion to approve with the stipulation of those amendments.
Motion made by Counselor Hoffman-Sockman,
Support.
supported by Counselor Schweberger. Any further discussion?
Madam President, if I may, this is the final 8 to 9 acre site in our North Hibbing Industrial Park, which is right north of the property that we worked on with AMGS, right across the road from the current Yoder site at 1111 7th Avenue East.
Thank you for that, Betsy. We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. C.
Excellent. This request is to approve the 2026 HEDA meeting schedule as presented below. So the HEDA board regular meetings would occur on the first Tuesday of every month unless there's an exception due to a scheduling conflict. As April and July's meetings do not line up with the council meeting week, those would be scheduled as listed below. And then the November 17th meeting, it was scheduled for November 3rd, the first Tuesday. That is the general election, so we had to shift it. We couldn't shift it to the next Tuesday because that is the Hibbing Public Utilities meeting, so we had to go to the following week. And the regular meetings would begin at 5 p.m. unless otherwise posted or agreed to by the HEDA board.
So they will be on the first Tuesday of every month. And everybody had a chance to read through that. Do we have a motion to approve this schedule for 2026?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the new schedule or the 2026 schedule.
Motion made by Mayor Hyduk,
I support.
supported by Member Cameron. Any further discussion?
Yes, so on the November 17th, that is the same as the airport authority meeting, just to let you know.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
So we might have to think about either an earlier meeting or a later meeting, or else
Whatever,
that would
or
be
I
one
just
you
miss,
have to
right.
miss. Yep, okay,
Not a problem.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Betsy. On to number 2, the Finance Director, Sheena.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. This evening, I've handed out an updated HEDA loan balance schedule as of today. I'll go over a few updates on the schedule. Third down from the top, Dynamic Garage Door, they paid off their loan on November 14th. Moxie's is still past due. I did reach out to Attorney Borland on that. They're just waiting on the court to create a court file number so they can go back with the process of seeking the default judgment on that one. Next, we have Advanced Machine Guarding Solutions. They're interest only through the end of December, so they'll be starting up principal and interest payments pretty soon here in January. Arrowhead Motorcycle, COVID loan, and then the regular loan, those two are still behind. I did also ask Attorney Borland on that one. He said that the process server was unable to locate her, but they're going to work with the court for permission to publish that and get the complaint. Wicked Apothecary, that one we did get in touch with her. She did call us back today, and she did say she would come and pay a HEDA with a check tomorrow to get that loan caught up. So that's good news. And then for the Lee's loan, if you remember at our last meeting, he had asked to subordinate that loan on 13th Avenue East. Rather than subordinating it, they did go through with the new loan and paid off. So that one is paid off now. And then Iron Range Management, total drawn to date is now up to $80,866.01. That is still being drafted interest only. And then Hibbing Heating and Air Conditioning did do their roof and got both of their loans, the deferred loan and then the regular revolving loan. So those are both issued now. And then I did also want to report that we did follow up today on Mike's Pub utilities and taxes, and the utilities are now current. They are up to date. And the taxes are also paid. So now Cassie is working with her just to see if the jobs requirements are met. And then she would be able to be eligible for the forgivable first year of her deferred loan. Other than that, the cash balances, we have our Fund 250 Economic Development Fund has $952,545.81 available to lend. Our Fund 420 Storefront Renovation Fund has $218,120.76 to lend. And then the deferred loan program has all been committed, so there isn't anything available to lend. And I did just receive the down payment invoice on the elevator for the Crown Ballroom, or the DUU now. So he's looking to have that $6,138 drawn on his loan. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope, everything looks good. Okay. Thank you, Sheena.
Yep, thank you.
On to number 3, City Attorney Andy Borland. Do you have anything for us tonight?
No, Madam President, I don't. Thank you.
No, okay. Now we can move on to our loan requests.
Madam President, members of the board, the first one is a request to approve the business subsidy agreement with RSF Industries doing business as Range Steel Fabricators to assist with the purchase of new equipment for operations, as Jeff described in his project tonight. There's 3 pieces of equipment. Because this loan is over the $75,000 in state statute, but under the $150,000 in state statute, it's in the area where we declare it's a subsidy and sign an agreement, but we do not need to hold a public hearing other than this public meeting. So that is the request to approve, is the first on the docket.
I'll make a motion to approve the subsidy agreement with RSF.
Support?
Motion made by Member Egan and supported by Mayor Hyduk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The second request then is to approve RSF Industries Incorporated doing business as Range Steel Fabricators revolving loan request as presented tonight for $128,500 with the terms in the loan write-up.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mayor Hyduk,
Support.
supported by Member Egan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, and I think that is, we had both of those, and that's all we have left. Discussion items.
Yep. Madam President, these are all mine. Thank you very Thank you for your latitude tonight. So the first one is a 400 block redevelopment project update. I wanted to bring you an update. In your packet is the demolition schedule and the fact that the alley and parking will be blocked off because the equipment is starting to arrive this week. Scott Sienick from Doran Associates will be in town this week, getting fencing laid down in the alleyway, et cetera. We're not necessarily blocking off the alley. We will just be laying down some of the equipment in that parking, the angle parking in the alley. But as soon as the demolition commences, they will put up the fence, and then that alley will be blocked off as well, in between City Hall and the 400 block to maintain the safety perimeter. We do need, I believe I brought this up at the last meeting, we do need to get one pay application into deed by the end of this year to maintain that grant. So the mobilization and the permitting and all of those fees that they're paying out will come back to us and be moved through the process to request for deed. I met the new project manager, Matt Keppers from Rebound, just late last week. And he was sitting in on the OAC meeting, which is the owners, architects, and construction managers meeting, to sit down and start learning the project and the players and those sorts of things. Rebound has selected Max Gray as their construction manager at risk for the project.
Nice.
So Morgan Siopa and Jim Abramson were also in that meeting. They understand projects on the Iron Range and will be able to move this forward. The pre-development agreement with Rebound runs through February 11th, 2026. There might be the potential that we extend that at the January or the February meeting because of the timing of the IRRR meeting, which for the grant for that particular project or potential financing for that particular project, is it low interest loans, grants, et cetera, for that project. Their meeting probably won't be until later in the spring, so we might need to continue the pre-development agreement because the development agreement will have those financing sources written in. One item that we will probably have as an addendum on that pre-development agreement is a term sheet, which are all the various financing mechanisms that we're working with Rebound to secure. The ones that, you know, come through city sources like we do for other projects, and then the ones that they're working on with their bank. And their senior lender. So that, let's see, yep, that was the end of my update on that one. The demolition then, the clear out of all the municipal solid waste and all of those pieces will start right away in January and will continue through that month. The schedule's in your packet with the dates for when they will start actually demolishing that particular block. We have signed the change order as well with Doran Associates for the 507 East Howard, which is the old Able Chiropractic. So that one is now part of that overall package and will be moving through as well. And we're in the process of transferring ownership with the county and that sort of thing. The county has signed on to their portion of that, the gap that's required to demolish that completely. Any questions on the 400 block as it sits right now?
Madam Chair, what it looks like, Betsy, is demolition actually doesn't start official demolition until March 2nd.
They have some cleanup to do first, yep.
Okay, but I mean the building tear down.
Mhm.
Looks like we'll start March 2nd. They'll be doing interior work, asbestos abatement and
They do have 180 days in their contract from the
Right.
November 20th when we signed the contract. And they're trying to time this with the new redevelopment.
Yeah.
So that there's not a huge lag in that buildings coming down and buildings being built. And also, if they can time the fill going back into those buildings, and you know, work that out with the developer to not spend one extra dime, that's what they're hoping to do. So,
on backfill, basically,
Mhm.
because we're talking underground parking.
correct.
So, okay, I can understand that. If that's the case, then is there a ad deduct for backfill?
Yes, there would be.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what I wanted to make sure that we're covered on that point
Mhm.
with costs.
Yep. And Jesse Story, our city engineer, is now managing that part of the project because he's much more familiar with
Yep.
all of that. So he's managing the contract and the consultants, et cetera. So they provided me an updated schedule, and that was their conversation, was they're trying to make this all dovetail nicely.
All right,
Any other questions on that?
We're still looking at June as a completion for all the demolition.
Yeah, it was 180 days past November 20th, whatever that date is. Yeah.
Do you know if they have any insight into using the existing open property for like laydown area or equipment where the old brickyard used to be?
Yes, they will be using that to stage demolition, you know, down that
What two
block so that they
directions,
don't
yeah.
have to impinge on Howard Street, et cetera, as much, but the alley will stay closed off for pretty much.
so from the curbing north is going to be closed off once they decide to start their work.
So we're handing that information around the city hall to make sure that city, county, state staff that all work here, you know, residents who come here, that sort of thing. Everybody will be aware. Excellent. The second item then on the updates is the Jefferson School redevelopment project update. The wetland delineation is done and the notice of determination has been filed through the state with assistance from Pat Green, our building official. The TIF report is done and has been sent back, was favorable for this building. It states that it's in, the coverage, et cetera, similar to the 400 block TIF report that we got. It is favorable towards a redevelopment grant and the potential of redeveloping that site for something other than that school, which so far EDA and the city council have chosen as housing. That's how it's zoned now. So that is favorable moving forward. Hibbing Parents Nursery School is out of that building except for some cold storage, and the utilities have all been shut off then. I do have a potential developer visiting in December to go look at that property with a decent project. They've done a couple other developments in nearby towns, so I will keep you posted on that. If we can come to an agreement around that, there may be a pre-development agreement in front of you in January in advance of the deed grant that we would like to apply for on February 1. So I wanted to give you an update at this meeting that I have somebody coming to look at it. If it looks favorable for housing, that will come in front of you. Remember, we typically sign those for a 6-month period. So that's the time frame that we'd be working on. In your packet also is a letter from Hibbing Parents Nursery School. They are really excited to be in their new space. It is going along well. They've been in there for a month. They are planning a ribbon cutting open house of some sort, so that will be in front of you as soon as we have dates. We've offered a little bit of assistance to help them with that because they haven't done one of those events before, but they also have assistance from Northland Foundation and Northland SBDC. I will say that I don't know that that project would have been successful, that we would have a successful relocation project without that resource team that came together with Northland Foundation's help. Hibbing Parents was extremely pleased that they got all of those resources and the assistance from the city to move. So thank you very much for the latitude and the endurance you put into that project, because we've been talking about that one for a little over a year now. So
Well, childcare is important. I mean, it's one of the most important
Absolutely.
components of a successful city.
correct. Any other questions on that particular one? Okay, item 4 is the 1107th Avenue East purchase update. We got a letter from Security State Bank stating that the closing is planned for December 22nd, which is within our 12/31 purchase agreement timeframe addendum. And the demo grant is not signed yet because the IRRR came back with a couple of extra things that they were wanting for that particular grant. So as soon as I see all those things come through, hopefully that will still come through and allow for some assistance on that renovation project. I don't know if you follow Yoder on Facebook, but they had an item on Facebook today that their showroom is all moved over. So they're going to be handling some of the interiors portion at the new location. Their lumberyard stays at the old location still. So they're moving as quickly as they can as well, and really do hope that they can keep these items moving forward. And then the 5th item is the Heda Loan Fund Guideline Revisions. They're in your packet. I have highlighted all the changes made in yellow. And these particular updates are based on the last year of lending. As projects have come forward and the Finance Committee has met and considered all of these different projects, I've been taking notes on the loan fund guidelines to make some potential revisions. I'll call a few of them out. It talks about the fact that this is below market rate financing for investment in commercial, industrial building renovations, or to provide financial support for startup businesses, expansions, and business retention and acquisition projects, and that any loan provided to the local business that is over $75,000 but less than that $150,000 will be declared a business subsidy. and that any loan greater than the 150 will also require a public hearing. It talks about the fact that this is to assist eligible Hibbing businesses to create or retain tax base and jobs in our community. It talks, there's a suggested revision for equipment to 7 to 10 years, depending upon if they're buying new or used equipment and based on the life of said equipment. There's changes in the loan concentration limits because this talks about it in comparison to our loan fund total capitalization, not the individual itself. So I wanted to adjust that to 10% instead of 25% because, Sheena, correct me if I'm wrong, we have about $2 million fully capitalized in our loan fund, correct? So we have been requiring anybody coming forward with a $250,000 loan to have the insurance and those sorts of things. This allows us to scrutinize those slightly differently and to request those things based on 10% of the loan fund concentration instead of 25%, which would have been almost $500,000 before we could do that. It also says that the HEDA board prefers to be 1/2 or less of the overall lending and equal to or less than other lenders participating in the project, because our goal here is not to compete with local lenders when we're offering below market rate financing, and we prefer to be a gap lender only. So we want that they secure other lending from their chosen banks and those sorts of things, whoever they're working with as those partners. And it talks about then, for a combination of sources and uses in a project, the maximum lending amount is negotiable by the HEDA board and taken up on a project-by-project basis. So that allows the EDA board to lend additional above and beyond, say, the 150 if chosen, but that requires some additional scrutiny and allows for that to happen. The loan approval process has been updated. No, that is fine. It's the procedures for loan approvals. In this process right now, we have what's called a loan commitment resolution is approved by the HEDA board. I noticed that Andy and I are not necessarily writing up a resolution every time. I'm not requesting that from our attorney right now. I do a loan write-up, a credit memo though, or not a credit memo, a loan write-up. So I wanted to ask about that one particular item, if you thought that it was necessary to do a resolution or if a copy of the board's minutes or an excerpt would suffice in that particular.
So Betsy, wouldn't that be a question for the auditor?
Well, I'm not sure exactly. Sheena, Andy, do you have an opinion on that particular?
Betsy, I don't really, I guess our auditors generally look to that we have documentation to substantiate what we're doing in the books. Or if there's a loan agreement that was been approved and that the board has seen all of the terms. I don't think they're gonna mind if it's a resolution or some other document that we approve, as long as we have all the terms approved.
Okay.
Is that something we could ask our auditor? I mean, we've already locked in our auditor just to get, you know, a solid answer on that. I understand and support what you just said, but if we get it from them in writing, then we know there is gonna be a problem down the road. And if you're confident what you just said, and I'm sure you are, Sheena, then it shouldn't be an issue to have them just say, yep, we agree.
Sure, I will reach out
Okay.
to them just to be sure. I know for sure, like to Betsy's point, if it says in here in our policy that we require a resolution, then they're gonna expect one.
Yeah,
So then they'll want one, but if we're following our own policies, I think they would be fine with it.
okay,
So I'll reach out to them just to be sure.
thank you.
And Andy, there isn't really any reason to expect that meeting minutes are any less official than a resolution per se.
Correct. Right.
And is it required to have a resolution to spend money in this case?
I don't know that it is, but I mean, for years, we haven't done that. And we have, other than just the documents themselves, which maybe the borrower executes, there's also a loan agreement that HEDA executes along with the borrower. So there's a little bit more added in there. If we determine to have a resolution, it's just one more document to prepare, essentially just outlining those terms one more time along with the loan agreement. I think It would just be a short, very short resolution just saying, agreeing to approve the loan agreement with customer X. So,
Right, so my thoughts are potentially move away from that. Sheena will verify that. Our auditor is fine with us changing our policy on that, and we can continue on the path that's been working so far.
Good.
Okay. And then the repayment, that section is highlighted. Basically, it's referring back to Hibbing's Finance Department, because it said Heda staff, but we're really using the Finance Department in order to do all of that work. And then this beefs it up a little bit, talking about what they sign and how that reporting is done back to the Heda board, and those sorts of things, and the monthly record keeping that's done. This is all stuff that they're already doing. It just outlines it a little bit more, so if Sheena and I are not here, folks can look at the process and policy and understand what's necessary. The loan monitoring is also updated because the finance department is doing that. And let's see, there was also Sheena's department is handling all local, state, and federal reporting requirements on the loan portfolio, because deed requires certain things per state statute, and remember this summer, we got a whole bunch of that caught up. So I wanted to note in here that we are doing that, and it is in accordance. And then loan files are maintained by the city finance department as well. And this also talks about the business subsidy agreement will be placed in that file, which is what we're already doing.
So,
Any questions?
yes, so Betsy, are you looking at adopting these in 2026?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so you have plenty of time to take these home, read them, send me back questions, concerns, comments, et cetera. And then they would be on the 2026 first meeting docket as part of our reorg.
Perfect.
Thank
We-
you, Betsy.
Do we have anything set up so that with the finance department, that if somebody is 90 or 100 days delinquent on a loan, we can get notice so we don't run into this situation like we had with the motorcycle place here, where we're trying to chase her down and nobody can find her. And I'm just wondering if we could have got that earlier, if it could have been resolved earlier.
We do have, yes, Member Egan, we do have in here that the HEDA policy regarding delinquencies, which is less than 60 days delinquent, will be firm yet flexible with provisions for modifying and restructuring. Sheena and Andy do reach out as soon as we have one payment missing.
Yes.
And then at 2 payments missing, they send letters. And then at 3 payments missing, we're, seeking additional action from the EDA board. So I think it's been working fairly well. But yes, in that case, if somebody moves and doesn't leave a forwarding address and, all of those things, Andy does his best to track them down. But this case, it was a hunt.
Yeah.
It
And
still is a hunt.
I apologize, I should have read past the yellow outline.
No worries. No worries, but I think it's good to just ask that question, right? So
absolutely.
folks know that we are following a process and, we do these things along the way. And so we're not picking on anybody, we're just following a good process based on good lending guidelines, so. So yes, this would come back to the board in 2026. If you have any comments or concerns prior to that, please let me know. I will just mention that January 2026 is our reorg meeting. We do have, in case you've been paying attention, Kelly from our marketing department put out an ad requesting for additional applications to the EDA board because Sherry, our beloved president, is terming out after 12 years on this board. She's done a fantastic job, but what that means is the job of president is coming up. And that cannot be one of our counselors or our mayor per our guidelines and our bylaws for the EDA. So I know that's something to be thinking about as you folks go over the holiday season and into January. That is our reorg meeting. The new, we're going through some applications right now and some interviews. I believe it's next week, Sheena. Is that when it's coming up? Or this week?
I think they might be this week.
Okay. And then once those are done, that recommendation is brought back to the city council, I believe in January. City council will seat the new individuals, and then we will swear them in at our January meeting, and go from there. Or February if
It might be
the
December
city-
17th.
Oh, is that on
Might be
the,
December 17th.
Okay.
With a meeting I just had today regarding the airport commission. They had mentioned that they wanted everything back. I think December 17th might be
Okay.
the day.
okay. So if city
I could be
council
wrong, but-
seats them, then we would swear them in
Yeah.
January, or actually Sherry's seat does not end until April. So she will seat all the way through that date. And then we would seat the new person in January for, you know, taking up their oath of office in April, so.
Is it-
Started right out of high school, didn't you?
It feels like it.
Andy?
Okay, if that is it for everything that you had there, Betsy?
That is excellent.
Okay, then our next item is the adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by member Egan,
Support.
supported by Counselor Schreiberger. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.